By the time I realized the date was a public experiment, 7 people had placed bets on how long I would last. One said 12 minutes. My ex-wife chose 5. Brooke had seated them behind a divider and told them I was about to prove what she had spent years saying about me, that I could imitate kindness. But the moment another person needed patience, I disappeared. Then Leah Navarro entered. She was deaf. Neither of us knew our table was being recorded. I spotted the phone inside the flowers before Leah reached the table. She noticed it 3 seconds later. They told me this was a blind date, she signed. They did not mention an audience. For 1 second, I considered leaving. Exit quietly. Let someone else decide what my silence meant. But if I walked away, Brooke would get exactly the ending she wanted, and Leah would be left alone with people who had reduced her to a joke. So I stayed. Leah pointed to the envelope near my plate. Inside was my interpreter badge. Brooke had not chosen her because she thought I could not sign. She had chosen her because she knew why I had stopped. Is that why they chose me? No, I signed. They chose both of us because they thought our worst memories would do the work for them. The whispers behind the divider stopped. Leah glanced at the camera. Do you want to embarrass her? No. What do you want? I want you to know you were never the joke. Leah removed the phone from the flowers and placed it between us. Brooke lunged for it. I caught her wrist before she struck Leah's hand. The camera captured 3 seconds. Me rising. Brooke recoiling. My hand around her wrist. By morning, those 3 seconds would be everywhere. Everything Leah and I had signed before that moment would be cut. Brooke would edit the video until I looked like the man she had spent years teaching everyone to fear. What I did not know was that Leah had brought evidence of her own. At that moment, all I knew was that Brooke's wrist had gone rigid beneath my fingers. Let go of me, she said. I did. Immediately, not because she was right, but because I knew what happened when a man held on for 1 second longer than a room expected. Brooke stepped back and cradled her wrist against her chest. The movement was almost elegant. She had always understood the power of giving people an image before they had time to ask what caused it. Leah turned the phone face down. She reached across me, she signed. Brooke watched my hands. What is she saying? The question was aimed at me, not Leah. I answered aloud. She said you reached across her. I reached for my property. You hid it in our flowers. Brooke laughed softly. Our flowers? One word, shaped to sound like proof that Leah and I were already performing some private intimacy. I rested both hands against the table. The old badge lay between them. My photograph was 11 years younger, and the plastic had cracked through the word interpreter. My thumb hovered near the split in the plastic. The last time I had worn that badge, I had stood beneath hospital lights with a family waiting for me to turn terror into language. I had failed them for 6 full seconds. Brooke knew 6 seconds had been enough to make me walk away from the only work that had ever felt honest. Why is this here? I asked. I thought it might help. With what? She glanced toward Leah. Communication. The answer arrived half a beat too late. Leah saw it too. She sat down and pointed to the empty chair across from her. Sit, she signed. If you leave now, she owns the last image. The 7 people behind the divider had stopped pretending not to listen. I sat. Leah placed the hidden phone between us, then opened the menu. The gesture was so ordinary it unsettled everyone more than anger would have. A waiter approached and looked only at me. Would your guest like something to drink? I started to answer, then stopped. Leah pointed to chamomile tea and held up one finger. The waiter flushed. Of course. I ordered black coffee. Brooke remained beside the table. Aren't you going to introduce us? Leah signed before I could respond. Tell her I know who she is. I translated. Brooke's smile thinned. I doubt that. Leah took a small leather notebook from her bag. Brooke's nonprofit foundation was stamped across the cover. Brooke went still. Leah opened to a yellow tab. A photograph showed 3 deaf artists beside ceramic pieces at a fundraiser. Brooke stood in the center beneath a banner that read Access Through Art. Leah circled one of the women with her fingertip. My sister, she signed. The noise behind the divider vanished. She turned another page. A printed email carried Brooke's name and one highlighted phrase, image rights included. Leah closed the notebook before Brooke could reach for it. You invited me because you thought I was useful, she signed. You have done that before. Brooke looked at me. Evan, you have no idea what she is talking about. Leah watched her face. I watched Brooke's hand. It was shaking. Then the phone between us lit up. A message appeared from an unknown number. Don't let her take the second phone. The warning remained on the screen for 3 seconds before the display went dark. Brooke moved first. She reached for the device again, but the restaurant manager stepped between us. He was a narrow man with silver glasses and the expression of someone calculating legal exposure in real time. "No one touches anything," he said. "Not until I understand what happened." Brooke pointed at the phone. "That belongs to my friend. Then your friend can identify it." Behind the divider, chairs shifted. Jordan Bell stood slowly. He had been my friend before he became one of Brooke's preferred witnesses. We used to watch basketball in his garage and complain about people who turned every disagreement into theater. Now he would not meet my eyes. "It's mine," he said. The manager asked why it had been hidden in the flowers. Jordan rubbed his palm against his trousers. Brooke said it was for a birthday thing. Leah signed. "Whose birthday?" I translated. Jordan stared at her hands as though the question had arrived from somewhere he could not answer. Brooke folded her arms. "Evan knows how to sign. Leah is clearly enjoying the attention. Can we stop pretending anyone was harmed?" Leah turned to me. "Do you always wait for permission before calling something cruel?" The question landed harder than Brooke's accusation. My coffee arrived. The waiter set Leah's tea in front of me, as if I were responsible for distributing it. Leah moved the cup to her side without comment. I had seen that gesture hundreds of times as an interpreter. Receptionists handed me a deaf patient's paperwork. Doctors asked me whether the patient understood. Cashiers gave me change after someone else paid. Back then, I corrected people. Somewhere along the way, I had stopped. The manager carried Jordan's phone to the host stand and called the police non-emergency line. Brooke returned to her table, gathering coats and whispering instructions. 2 people headed for the exit. The audience was leaving before the ending. Leah opened her notebook. The photograph of her sister remained beneath the yellow tab. "What happened to her?" I signed. The foundation used her face in a campaign about giving deaf artists a voice. Her mouth tightened at the phrase. "She already had one. They raised money? More than $80,000. My sister received $600 for the sculpture they featured." Leah smoothed a crease in the photograph. She asked them to remove the campaign. They said she had signed a release. Had she? Permission for one event program. The final release included digital advertising, donor mail, and future promotional use. Brooke's highlighted email sat on the next page. Image rights included. The phrase felt familiar. Brooke loved language that ended arguments before they began. Technically approved, previously discussed, mutually understood, clean words covering messy choices. "Why agree to meet me?" I asked. Leah poured hot water over the tea bag. "A mutual contact said you were worth meeting. That is not an answer." "No." She wound the string around the spoon. "You first." The badge lay beneath my hand. "I worked as an interpreter for 6 years. I know what the badge says." I stopped. "What happened?" There were several versions. Brooke's was easiest. The work had become emotionally unhealthy, so I made a mature decision to leave. The true version began with my younger brother Noah. He lost most of his hearing after meningitis when he was 9. I was 14 and furious at everyone who spoke around him instead of to him. Our parents learned ASL slowly. I learned it like a person trying to open a locked door before the house burned down. Noah used to slap my wrist when my signing became sloppy. Again, he would sign. "Say what you mean." He died at 23 when a driver crossed the center line in heavy rain. 3 weeks later, I returned to work because staying home felt worse. My first assignment was at Harbor Memorial. A surgeon needed to tell deaf parents that their 12-year-old daughter might not survive the night. I knew every sign. But the father wore the same green jacket Noah had worn the morning he died. My hand stopped. 6 seconds, according to the clock above the sink. Another interpreter completed the conversation. No medical decision was delayed. No complaint was filed. None of that mattered to me. I froze. I signed. A family needed language, and I disappeared inside my own head. Leah did not reach for me or offer an easy excuse. "How long did you wait before returning?" I never did. I resigned the next morning. "Did the family ask you to?" "No." "Your agency?" "No." "The other interpreter?" "No." Each answer removed another layer of shelter. So you punished yourself before anyone else could decide what the mistake meant. That is not how I would describe it. How would Brooke describe it? She said the work was destroying me. Was she wrong? No. Leah waited. Brooke asked me to take a month off. I turned it into forever. And she let you? She helped me find corporate training work. That was not my question. A group near the bar laughed. My shoulders tightened before I could stop them. Leah noticed. She did not force me. I signed, wanted someone to tell me leaving was responsible. And after that, she started calling ASL part of my old life. My phone vibrated. I'm willing to explain tonight as a misunderstanding if you leave now, and stop encouraging her. My thumb moved toward the keyboard. Sorry, this got out of control. The sentence appeared before I understood I had typed it. Leah watched the screen dim. What are you apologizing for? Making things worse. You found a hidden camera. I grabbed Brooke. She reached across me. People will not see it that way. Then you will make it easier for them? The unfinished apology waited beneath my thumb. For years, that had been my method. Offer a small piece of guilt so the other person would stop demanding the whole story. Brooke called it compromise. I called it keeping things calm. Noah would have called it sloppy language. I deleted the sentence. Brooke sent another message. This is exactly what I mean. You vanish when a conversation becomes difficult. Part of me wanted to stand, leave the phone with the manager, and go home before anyone could ask more of me. Leah slid the interpreter badge across the table. Did you come because she asked you to? Yes. Are you staying because she wants you to leave? No. Then why are you staying? The manager returned, carrying a clear evidence bag. Inside was a second phone with a cracked red case. We found this taped beneath the divider, he said. It was still recording. Jordan went pale. Brooke stopped halfway to the door. Leah's attention remained on me. For once, I did not let someone else answer. Because I want to know what they were afraid we would hear. The manager led us away from the dining area before anyone could touch the second phone. He put Brooke in the private bar with 2 members of her group. Jordan was told to wait near the host stand. Leah and I were given a narrow service office behind the kitchen, where a metal desk sat beneath a calendar from the previous year. The phone in the red case rested inside the evidence bag. A police officer arrived 20 minutes later. Officer Mendez listened without interrupting, then asked each of us the same questions separately. Who owned the phones? Who placed them? Whether anyone had consented to being recorded, and whether physical contact had occurred. Brooke described my hand around her wrist before she mentioned reaching across Leah. Jordan said he did not remember where the second phone came from. Leah wrote her statement in precise block letters, tore the page from her notebook, and slid it across the desk. Mendez read it twice. You saw Mr. Mercer release her immediately? Leah nodded. And the phone was already recording? Another nod. He turned to me. Do you know the passcode? No. From the hallway, Brooke said. Try Noah's birthday. My fingers tightened around the interpreter badge. She had spoken loudly enough for us to hear. Leah caught the change in my face. Who is Noah? Mendez asked. My brother. Why would his birthday unlock Jordan's phone? It would not. Brooke appeared in the doorway behind the manager. Evan uses the same numbers for everything. I was trying to help. The officer asked her to return to the bar. She obeyed, but not before giving the phone a brief glance. Not fear, recognition. Mendez photographed the device and explained that he could not search it without consent, a warrant, or the owner unlocking it voluntarily. Jordan claimed ownership, then refused access. That should have ended the night. Instead, the red phone vibrated inside the bag. The lock screen lit up with a notification. Upload complete. Beneath it was the name of a shared folder. Table test raw. Jordan closed his eyes. The officer asked whether he still wanted to claim the phone. His answer took too long. Brooke's attorney arrived before he gave one. She was a compact woman named Cynthia Vale, dressed as though she had been interrupted on the way to a board meeting instead of called from home after 10 at night. She spoke quietly with Brooke, then asked everyone to stop making statements. Jordan pulled her aside. Cynthia listened for less than a minute before telling him, I represent Brooke and the foundation. I do not represent you. The words left him standing alone beside the coat closet. Leah touched the edge of the metal desk to bring my attention back. Your ex knew the folder name, she signed. You saw her face? She was waiting for it to upload. My phone buzzed. A message from Nadine Cole, my director. Call me before you come to work. Below it was a link from a private social account I did not recognize. The preview image showed my hand around Brooke's wrist. The clip was already online. It lasted 3 seconds. There was no view of Brooke reaching across Leah. No hidden phone. No signing. The video began with me standing and ended with Brooke pulling away. The caption read, "When the quiet good guy mask slips." My throat closed around a breath. Leah held out her hand for the phone. I gave it to her. She watched once. Then again, slower. "They cropped me out," she signed. Only the edge of her sleeve remained. The cruelty of it was precise. Brooke had used Leah to create the scene, then removed her when Leah's presence complicated the accusation. Comments appeared beneath the clip faster than I could read them. Somebody tagged my company. Another person wrote that Brooke had always hinted her marriage was unsafe. A former colleague asked whether the woman beside us had been a client. Then I found a comment from someone I knew. Jordan Bell. "There is more to this than the video shows." It had been deleted, but the notification remained in the activity log. Jordan had tried to object. Brooke had removed him. A second notification appeared from the shared folder. The red phone was still connected to the restaurant's network, still completing whatever process had begun before it was bagged. 3 files failed to sync. Leah opened her notebook and wrote the names exactly as they appeared on the lock screen. Angle A. Mauve. Angle B. Mauve. Dinner. Audio. M4A. Audio. The second phone had not only filmed the divider, it had recorded what happened behind it. Jordan entered the office without knocking. His face had lost all color. "I did not know she was going to post that clip tonight." Mendez stopped him near the door. "Do not discuss the incident unless your attorney advises you to." "I do not have an attorney." Cynthia looked away from him. Jordan stared at the bagged phone. "Brooke told me to set up 2 angles. She said it was for a private reaction video. Something she could show friends after." "You hid both phones?" I asked. "The one in the flowers. The red one was already under the divider when I arrived." "Who placed it?" "I do not know." Leah signed. "Who gave you the account for the upload?" Jordan watched her hands, then turned to me for translation. "I gave it. Brooke texted me the login." Cynthia stepped forward. "My client denies providing credentials for any illegal recording." Jordan laughed once, but there was no humor in it. She named the folder. Brooke entered before the manager could stop her. "Because we discussed a harmless joke," she said. "Not this." Her eyes moved from Jordan to the evidence bag. "You were supposed to turn them off once he started signing." Nobody spoke. The sentence settled before Brooke understood what she had admitted. Cynthia's hand closed around Brooke's elbow. Jordan stared at her. "You knew he could sign?" Brooke's expression hardened. "Of course I knew. Then what was the test?" Brooke gave me the answer. "To see whether he would use it." A pressure began behind my ribs. She had not expected me to fail because I could not communicate. She had expected me to fail because signing would force me back into the life I had abandoned. If I froze, I was cold. If I signed, I was performing. Every available choice had already been written as guilt. Leah read the conclusion on my face. She did not set a test. She signed. She built a verdict. Brooke shook off Cynthia's hand. "He wants you to think this is about dignity. Ask him why he stopped interpreting. Ask him what happened to the girl at Harbor Memorial." The badge slipped from my fingers and struck the desk. Leah did not pick it up. "What girl?" she signed. Brooke smiled without warmth. "The one whose parents needed him," she said. "The one he walked away from." The painful part was not that Brooke used the story. It was that she knew I had never learned whether the girl survived. I had spent 13 years refusing to ask. Mendez instructed Brooke to leave the office. Cynthia took her out this time. Jordan sat heavily in the remaining chair. "There may be another copy," he said. "Of the audio?" I asked. He nodded. "Where?" His gaze shifted toward Leah's notebook. Brooke did not invite Miss Navarro through a mutual friend. Someone from the foundation gave her name to Brooke. Leah's hands stopped above the page. "Who?" Jordan swallowed. "Your sister." By 8 the next morning, the 3-second clip had been viewed more than 40,000 times. Nadine did not ask me to explain over the phone. She told me to enter through the parking garage and use the service elevator. My office occupied the 6th floor of a glass building where every conference room had a name like Trust or Belonging. I had taught managers how to listen in those rooms. Now security escorted me into one. Nadine sat at the far end of the table with Martin Price from Human Resources and a lawyer I had never met. My laptop had already been collected. On the wall screen, Brooke's video waited beneath a frozen image of my hand around her wrist. Nadine folded her glasses. This is not a criminal finding. It feels like one. It is a risk review. Martin played the clip without sound. I stood. Brooke recoiled. My hand closed around her wrist. The video ended. The next slide showed comments beneath it. Violent, controlling, unstable. Someone had tagged my company and 3 clients whose leadership teams I had trained. Martin paused on a post from Brooke's account. I spent years protecting his reputation. Last night, another woman saw what happens when patience runs out. The sentence never accused me of striking her. It did not need to. Did you hurt Miss Halston? The lawyer asked. No. Did you strain her? I stopped her from reaching across Leah. Miss Navarro? Yes. The woman you met for the first time that evening? Yes. Every answer sounded worse once separated from the scene that gave it meaning. Nadine said Brooke's attorney claimed I had used my professional background to manipulate a vulnerable woman into supporting me. Leah is not vulnerable. The lawyer's pen stopped. I mean, she should not be described that way because she is deaf. I understand, Nadine said. The issue is how others may interpret it. That phrase belonged to Brooke's world, not what happened, how it could be made to look. Martin displayed a still image of me signing across the table. Leah had been cropped out. He knew exactly how to make her trust him. Brooke had found the word she needed, manipulative. It allowed every kind gesture to become strategy after the fact. Did you know Miss Navarro before last night? Martin asked. No. Did you know she had concerns about Brooke's foundation? No. Did you know Brooke had worked with her sister? No. The pattern formed around me. If Leah spoke now, Brooke could claim we had coordinated. If she stayed silent, the cropped video would stand alone. We are placing you on paid administrative leave, Nadine said. I have the Fairmont training Monday. It will be reassigned. That contract had taken 9 months to secure. My instinct was to apologize for bringing attention to the company. Nadine slid a statement toward me. Pending review, I will step away from client-facing responsibilities. I regret the concern caused by a private matter that became public. It did not admit wrongdoing. It only asked me to stand beside the accusation long enough for people to assume I had. I am not signing this. It protects your position, Nadine said. It starts with regret before anyone has established what happened. The lawyer closed her folder. Refusing a neutral statement may be interpreted as a lack of cooperation. Interpretation replacing fact again. I pushed the paper back. I will cooperate with an investigation. I will not apologize for stopping someone from knocking into Leah while trying to recover a hidden camera. Nadine studied me, then removed the statement. Paid leave begins today. Do not contact clients. Security returned my coat but not my laptop. Outside, 3 reporters waited beneath the awning. Mr. Mercer, did you know the woman was deaf when you agreed to the date? Did you use sign language to gain her trust? Brooke Halston says this was not the first time you became physical during conflict. Do you deny that? I stopped. If I answered angrily, the cameras would capture anger. If I said nothing, Brooke's version would fill the space. A black car pulled to the curb. Jordan pushed open the passenger door. Get in. He drove 2 blocks before speaking. She is holding a press event at noon. To do what? Announce an independent review of the foundation's work with deaf artists. She is turning the restaurant into a reform campaign. She is turning you into the reason she needs one. My phone filled with messages. 2 clients had canceled calls. My mother had written, "Please tell me this is edited." Leah had sent 1 line. Do not respond until you see what she is doing. At 11:57, Brooke appeared live from the foundation's gallery. Behind her stood 3 board members, Cynthia Vale and ceramic pieces from the ACCESS Through Art campaign. Leah's sister's work occupied the center pedestal. Brooke wore a pale blue suit and no jewelry. She looked careful, wounded, responsible. I had hoped to handle a painful private matter quietly, she began. But silence can protect the wrong person. She described the date as an attempt to help 2 isolated people meet. Then she said I had used specialized communication skills to create immediate emotional dependence. Finally, she used the word manipulative. Reporters repeated it as they typed. 1 board member lowered his eyes. Another shifted away from the sculpture behind him. Cynthia remained still, but her thumb pressed hard into the edge of her folder. Brooke announced that Leah had been invited to speak, but had declined. My phone rang. Leah's video call opened from her studio. She never invited me, she signed. Then say that publicly. If I speak before we recover the raw files, she will say you coached me. She is already saying it. On the live stream, a reporter asked whether Brooke feared for her safety. Brooke paused. I fear what happens when a man believes kindness gives him access to a woman's loyalty. Leah's hands moved faster. I can challenge her now. But I may destroy the evidence with it. The comment feed accelerated. People demanded that my company fire me. Someone posted the hospital where I had once interpreted. Another user found Noah's obituary. Then Brooke stepped aside and revealed a large screen. My old interpreter badge filled it. Cracked plastic. Faded photograph. My name beneath the word interpreter. This was left at the restaurant, she said. I believe it shows how carefully last night's encounter was staged. The badge had been on my kitchen table when I left for work. My hand went to my empty coat pocket. Jordan pulled the car to the curb. How did she get that? Brooke held the badge inside a clear plastic sleeve. Leah stopped signing. A message appeared from an unknown number. If you want the full recording, come alone. Beneath it was a photograph of the red phone. Reflected in the dark window behind it stood Leah's sister. The photograph had been taken before dinner. I knew because the red phone still had a strip of black tape across its case. Officer Mendez had removed that tape when he sealed the device. In the evidence bag, Leah enlarged the reflection behind it. A woman stood in a dark window holding a canvas portfolio against her chest. My sister, Leah signed. Jordan leaned over the steering wheel. Camila Navarro? Leah's expression sharpened. You know her? She consulted for Brooke's foundation last spring. The unknown number sent another message. Midnight. Navarro Studio. No police. Jordan said, that sounds safe. Leah took my phone and typed a reply. No. She returned it before I could object. Anyone who has the full recording can send 10 seconds proving it, she signed. We are not walking into another space someone else designed. It was the first decision that day made without fear of how it might appear. At 6 that evening, we entered Navarro Studio through the loading door. Not because the sender had demanded it. Leah had checked the security system, called Camila 3 times, and asked a neighbor to watch the alley. Officer Mendez knew where we were. So did the attorney I had retained that afternoon. The main studio occupied an old print shop, but Leah led me into a storage area barely wide enough for 2 work tables. Unfinished bowls covered one shelf, clay tools soaked in a chipped coffee mug. A small lamp cast warm light across a kiln manual, and a loaf of bread wrapped in paper. Leah locked the door, then set a bowl of soup in front of me. I'm not hungry. You have had coffee and half a glass of water since last night. I'm fine. She pushed a spoon across the table. That was not a question. I ate. The soup was tomato. Too hot at first, with pepper strong enough to clear my head. Leah cut the bread with a wire, normally used for separating clay from a wheel. She noticed me watching and raised one eyebrow. Clean wire. I did not say anything. You did with your face. My attorney had forced the foundation to return the interpreter badge after Brooke's press conference. A courier delivered it to the studio in a sealed envelope. It lay beside the bowl, the lanyard severed, and the plastic still cracked through the word interpreter. A quick check of my apartment had shown no broken lock. Nothing else appeared missing. I still did not know how the badge had left my kitchen table. Leah picked up the severed lanyard. May I? I nodded. She opened a drawer, found a length of waxed black cord, and threaded it through the cracked plastic. Her fingers worked slowly around the damaged edge, careful not to split it further. You do not have to repair that. I'm not repairing the badge. What are you doing? Making it possible to carry. The distinction stayed between us. A vibration crossed the work table. Leah's phone showed another missed call from Camila. She turned it face down. How much did you know? I asked. The cord stopped between her fingers. About Brooke. About the restaurant. About me. Leah placed the badge on the table. My sister did not recommend me because she thought we would be good together. The small space seemed to lose what little air it had. Then Jordan was telling the truth. Yes. She unlocked her phone and opened a message thread with Camila. The first message was dated 12 days earlier. Brooke wants to stage a date with Evan Mercer. She called it a test of his empathy. Below it, Leah had replied, Does he know? Camila's answer, I don't think so. Leah set the phone where I could read the rest. Camila believed Brooke had expanded image releases without proper consent. Tessa Kim, a former Foundation assistant, had copies of internal emails but feared violating a non-disclosure agreement. They needed Brooke speaking plainly about how she used deaf artists and donors. So you agreed to be the test. I agreed to attend a dinner. With a recorder. Leah reached into the pocket of her notebook and removed a flat black device, no larger than a matchbook. I started it in the parking garage. The words from the end of the restaurant returned to me, evidence of her own. You knew there might be cameras. I knew Brooke wanted a reaction. I did not know about the bets, the divider, or your badge. But you knew I might be walking into a trap. Yes. And you said nothing. Her hands lowered, then rose again. I thought you might be helping her. Why? You work in corporate training. Brooke told Camila you had agreed to demonstrate how quickly trust could be built through accessible communication. She told you I was part of it? She told my sister. I did not believe her completely. Not completely is different from not at all. Yes, there was no defense in the sign. That made it hurt more, not less. Leah had watched me discover the camera. She had watched Brooke use Noah's name. She had asked why I stayed while keeping the answer to her own presence hidden. You could have warned me at the table. I should have. Before the table. Yes. Instead, you waited to see what I would do. Her jaw tightened. I wanted Brooke to expose herself. And if she had destroyed me instead? Leah's gaze held mine. I told myself you were an adult who could leave. A laugh escaped me, brief and ugly. That is exactly what she bet on. I know. No, you know now. Leah did not move toward me. I used the same excuse people have used on me, she signed. That the harm would be acceptable if the outcome helped enough people. The admission stripped away the clean version of her. I had wanted her to be the only honest person at the table. She had been honest about Brooke, but not about herself. What did you record? Everything from the garage until Brooke took the first phone. Does it clear me? It proves she approached after I removed the phone. It records me warning her not to reach across me. But the device was inside my bag. There is no image, so it helps. It also records Camila calling me before I entered. What did she say? Leah's fingers hesitated. She told me to keep you talking until Brooke explained the badge. The spoon remained halfway between the bowl and my mouth. I set it down. You kept me at that table. Yes. The word did not arrive softened. A smear of dried clay marked Leah's wrist. Without thinking, I wet a cloth and rubbed it away. Her skin warmed beneath my fingers. She went still. For one dangerous second, the storage area became only the space between us. Her hand turned under mine. I wanted to close that distance. Wanting it made me angry. I released her wrist and stepped back until the work table pressed against my hip. Not tonight. Leah nodded once. Not because Brooke made this ugly, I continued. Because I do not know whether I was your date or your evidence. You were both. The answer was honest and terrible. I will give the recording to your attorney, she signed. I will make a statement about what I did. I will not ask you to trust me because I finally told the truth. Her phone vibrated again. This time Camila had sent a photograph. She was sitting in a quiet corridor outside my attorney's office beside Tessa Kim. Tessa held a flash drive between two fingers. The message beneath it read, "We have the Foundation archive. Brooke knows." A second message followed before either of us responded. She is on her way to Evan's apartment. Brooke was not at my apartment when we arrived. The reporters were. 3 vans crowded the curb. A woman with a microphone stood beneath my living room window while a cameraman filmed the entrance. Someone had taped a still from the restaurant video to the call box. Jordan kept driving. I called the building manager from the next block. Mr. Alvarez answered in a whisper. Your ex-wife was here 20 minutes ago. How did she get inside? She still had a key fob. I canceled it after the divorce. She showed me an email saying you authorized temporary access. I did not. He hesitated. She said she needed medication and documents she had left behind. I led her upstairs. The old response rose before I could stop it. Reassure him, absorb the damage, make his mistake easier to live with. Instead, I asked him to preserve the lobby footage and send me the email. I made a mistake, he said. Yes. Please don't make a second one by deleting anything. Officer Mendez met us in the underground garage and took us through a service corridor. My apartment door showed no damage. The kitchen lights were on. Nothing appeared stolen at first. Then I opened the hall closet. The box containing my interpreting records had been emptied across the floor. Training manuals, tax forms, and conference badges covered the carpet. Noah's green jacket was gone. So was the external drive where I had stored old schedules and personal notes from my interpreting years. Mendez photographed the closet. Was anything on that drive related to Harbor Memorial? Maybe an appointment confirmation. Patient information? No medical records. There may be names and calendar entries. Even old names could create a privacy problem. Information I had kept for sentimental reasons could be treated as negligence. My attorney, Maya Singh, arrived carrying a legal pad and 2 charging cables. "Do not call Brooke," she said before greeting me. "Do not post. Give me every device you used last night. I need my phone. You need counsel more." She placed a printed letter on the counter. Brooke's Foundation accused Leah, Camila, and Tessa of stealing confidential donor files. It demanded the return of all copies and warned that anyone who reviewed or distributed them could face civil action. My name appeared in the final paragraph. The Foundation had reason to believe I was coordinating an unlawful campaign of retaliation. I have never seen the archive. Then keep it that way until we establish how Tessa obtained it. Leah read the letter over my shoulder. She had access as an employee, she signed. Access is not ownership, Maya replied. Her signing was careful but clear. Leah's eyebrows lifted. "My sister is deaf," Maya said. I learned enough not to make her wait for someone else to speak. Camila arrived with Tessa through the garage. Tessa had hidden the flash drive in a safe deposit box after receiving Brooke's threat. The archive covered the Foundation's image releases and internal messages, including planning notes about the restaurant. Before Maya could question her, Tessa took a prepaid phone from her coat and set it on the counter. "The anonymous messages were mine," she said. "I photographed the red phone while Brooke's staff was setting up the restaurant. I used a burner because the Foundation still had access to my work account. I asked Evan to come alone because I did not know who Brooke was monitoring. When Leah refused, I sent the reflection so she would understand Camila was already involved." Maya stopped her before she could say more. "Did you download those files after your employment ended?" "No. Before I resigned." "Were you authorized to make copies?" Tessa pressed her lips together. "Not exactly. Then no one opens that drive tonight." Camila crossed her arms. "Brooke is destroying people while we wait for permission. And if you use unlawfully obtained files," Maya said, "she may turn the truth into evidence against you." Leah's phone vibrated. The City Arts Council had suspended consideration of her studio grant, pending an ethics review. Brooke's Foundation was one of the council's largest private sponsors. The grant would have paid for a wheelchair-accessible entrance, visual fire alarms, and 6 months of youth workshops. Camila read the amount aloud. $42,000. The practical cost entered the kitchen and sat among us. My phone rang inside Maya's evidence pouch. Nadine Cole's name appeared on the screen. Maya put the call on speaker. Nadine told me the Fairmont contract had invoked a conduct clause. 2 more clients had requested different trainers. Paid leave would continue for 1 week, after which my status would depend on the investigation. My health insurance? Active for now. For now. When the call ended, Leah touched my sleeve. "You can stay above the studio," she signed. "There is a small apartment. Separate entrance." The offer carried warmth, safety, and every wrong reason to accept. Reporters were outside my home. My employer had taken my laptop. Brooke had stolen something connected to Noah. Leah stood close enough for me to feel the heat from her hand. I wanted to say yes. Instead, I stepped away. "No." Her hand lowered. "I'm not rejecting the help. It sounds like you are. I cannot turn your apartment into a place I hide from my life. You need somewhere safe." "I do, but not with you." Camila watched without pretending not to. "If anything happens between us, it cannot begin because Brooke made my home unlivable." Leah signed more slowly. "You think I offered because I want something from you? I think neither of us knows what we want while everything is burning." "That is fair." The acceptance hurt more than an argument would have. Jordan cleared his throat. "My guest room is available." Maya asked whether Brooke had access to his building. "No." "Does anyone in your friend group?" Jordan's face tightened. "Probably." "Then use a hotel under my office account," Maya said. "No one posts the location." I packed 2 shirts, medication, and a framed photograph of Noah that Brooke had left face down on the closet shelf. The repaired interpreter badge went into my coat. At the hotel, Maya established rules. All communication went through counsel. No direct contact with Brooke. No public statement until the restaurant footage and upload records were preserved. Tessa's drive remained unopened. Leah's recording would be copied by a neutral forensic technician. Then Maya handed me another document. Brooke had filed for a temporary civil protection order. The petition claimed I had restrained her, followed her communications, and joined with Leah to damage her professional standing. A hearing was scheduled for Monday. If granted, the order could restrict me from contacting mutual friends who worked with the foundation or discussing Brooke publicly. It could also make my administrative leave indefinite. Jordan read the first page twice. She is using the clip to stop him from defending himself. Maya closed the folder. She is using procedure. That is different from winning. A knock came at the hotel door. Maya opened it with the security latch attached. A courier handed her a narrow package. Inside was the missing external drive, wrapped in a strip of dark green fabric. The fabric had been cut from the sleeve of Noah's jacket. The jacket itself was still missing. A second envelope carried the letterhead of Harbor Memorial Hospital. The compliance office had received an anonymous report that I retained confidential patient information after leaving my position. Until the review was complete, I was forbidden from accepting any interpreting assignment connected to the hospital. At the bottom of the page, someone had highlighted one sentence: "Failure to cooperate may result in legal action." Leah studied the cut sleeve. "She did not steal the drive to hide what was on it," she signed. Maya nodded. "She stole it so she could decide who saw it first." By Sunday morning, Brooke no longer needed the restaurant video. She had something better. A post Leah had written 8 months earlier appeared on 3 local news pages before breakfast. In it, Leah accused the Halston Foundation of treating deaf artists as accessible decoration for hearing donors. The original post had received 32 likes. The screenshot Brooke released included a private reply from Camila beneath it. "We need someone inside her circle." Below that was a photograph of Leah and me at the restaurant. The caption did the rest. "This was never a blind date." Maya called it 7:15. "Do not answer publicly. She is making Leah look like she recruited me. She is establishing motive before the protection order hearing." On the hotel television, a morning anchor described the dinner as a possible retaliation operation against Brooke's foundation. A legal commentator said my decision to use ASL could be interpreted as evidence that Leah and I had planned the encounter. The language was absurd. It was also working. Leah's studio page filled with cancellations. 2 parents withdrew their children from the weekend ceramics class. A deaf advocacy group that had once shared her workshops posted a statement saying it opposed the use of disability identity in personal revenge campaigns. Leah sent me a screenshot without commentary. At the bottom, someone had written, "You let them turn us into content." The accusation hurt her because it was not entirely false. She had entered the restaurant hoping Brooke would expose herself. She had recorded people who did not know she was recording. The purpose had been accountability, but the method had still used a human encounter as evidence. Camila called from the corridor outside Maya's office. "Tessa is leaving." "Leaving where?" "Seattle. She thinks the foundation will sue her and report her for theft." In the background, Tessa zipped a bag. Maya asked to speak with her. Tessa refused. "If the archive stays sealed," Camila said, "Brooke wins. If you open it recklessly, Brooke may suppress everything inside it," Maya replied. Tessa appeared on the video screen. She looked younger than I expected. "I gave 3 years to that foundation," she said. "The first time I copied a file, I told myself I was preserving proof. The 20th time, I stopped asking whether I had the right. No one offered absolution." She placed the safe deposit key on the hospital chair. "I am done being the person who holds it." Then she walked out of frame. The next loss came from Jordan. He had left the hotel before dawn without waking me. At 9, Cynthia Vale released a signed statement in his name. I placed 1 recording device at the restaurant as part of a private joke. Evan Mercer became agitated after discovering it. Brooke Halston did not instruct me to record anyone without consent. Maya read the statement twice. He has narrowed it to 1 device. He told police there were 2 angles. He is changing his account before the hearing. My phone showed 6 missed calls to Jordan. None had connected. Leah arrived at the hotel just after 10. She stood inside the doorway but did not remove her coat. I showed her Jordan's statement. "He was afraid," she signed. "So were you." "Yes." You did not sign a lie. No, the distinction mattered. It did not make the betrayal smaller. A message from my mother appeared while we were speaking. A reporter called the house. Your father wants you to apologize, so this will stop. My parents had spent years accepting Brooke's version of our marriage because it required less from them than asking why I had become quieter. My father believed any public conflict could be ended by the person with less pride. I opened the camera on my phone. Maya was downstairs speaking with hotel security. Leah had moved to the window. Neither saw me press record. My name is Evan Mercer, I began. The events at the restaurant have caused harm to people who did not ask to be involved. The words came easily. That frightened me. I take responsibility for allowing a private conflict to become public. Brooke Halston should not be blamed for. My mouth stopped before my hands did. On the desk, the repaired interpreter badge lay beside Noah's photograph. Again, he had signed whenever I softened a sentence until it no longer meant anything. Say what you mean. I deleted the recording. Leah turned from the window. What were you doing? Trying to make everyone comfortable. Did it work? No. A news alert appeared before I could put the phone down. Brooke Halston seeks protection from ex-husband and coordinated group. Us. The article named Leah, Camila, Tessa, and Jordan. Jordan had signed a statement supporting Brooke, but she had still included him among the people she claimed were harassing her. He gave her what she wanted, I said. She used him anyway. Leah touched the back of a chair. That is what people like her do when loyalty becomes evidence. The hotel phone rang. Reception said a man was waiting downstairs with a package and would only give it to me. Maya returned before we moved. The man was Jordan. Security brought him to a conference room off the lobby. He carried no coat despite the rain. One side of his shirt was untucked, and a red mark crossed his cheek. Maya closed the door. Did Brooke hit you? No. Cynthia threw my phone when I tried to take it back. He placed a printed statement on the table. The version released to the press carried his electronic signature. He said Cynthia had shown him a different draft, one admitting he hid the flower phone, but refusing to speculate about the second device. I signed on her tablet. She replaced the page. Can you prove that? Maya asked. Jordan pulled a watch from his pocket. It records voice notes when I double-tap the crown. I use it for grocery lists. He pressed play. Cynthia's voice filled the conference room. We keep it simple. One phone. A foolish prank. No coordinated recording. Then Brooke. The second camera was never supposed to record sound. Jordan's voice asked, what happens if the police recover it? Brooke answered too quickly. They cannot recover what never synced. A chair scraped in the recording. Cynthia said, Brooke, stop talking. The file ended. Maya held out her hand for the watch. Jordan did not give it to her yet. There is more. He played a second note recorded 9 minutes later. Brooke again. If Evan apologizes before Monday, we can still make this look mutual. If he does not, use Harbor Memorial. The parents will remember him freezing. My skin went cold. You contacted them? Jordan had asked. I contacted the daughter. The conference room narrowed around the sentence. The girl had lived. She was an adult now. Brooke had found her before I had ever allowed myself to ask whether she survived. Jordan finally handed Maya the watch. She agreed to speak at the hearing, he said. For Brooke? I asked. He nodded. Leah did not reach for me. Maya copied the files while rain struck the lobby windows. A new email arrived from Harbor Memorial. The former patient had submitted a written statement. The preview showed only its first line. Mr. Mercer has spent 13 years believing the wrong thing about what happened that night. The courthouse hallway smelled of wet coats and copier paper. Maya had warned me that a protection order hearing was not a trial about our marriage. The judge would decide one narrow question, whether I posed a credible threat. Brooke understood narrow questions. She had built her career by choosing the smallest frame that still produced the conclusion she wanted. Leah was not beside me. Her attorney had sent her to a separate meeting with the Arts Council, where she planned to admit she had recorded the dinner and explain why. She had given Maya the original file, then stopped messaging me except about evidence. That distance was the boundary we had agreed to keep. Inside the hearing room, Brooke sat between Cynthia and a victim advocate. Her wrist was wrapped in a pale brace I had never seen before. Behind her were 2 foundation board members, my father, and 3 people who had once attended my birthday dinners. Jordan waited across the aisle with his own attorney. Nadine Cole sat in the back row for my company. When the clerk called our names, Brooke lowered her eyes. Cynthia played the 3-second clip first, me rising, Brooke recoiling, my hand around her wrist. She froze the final frame. Mr. Mercer had already aligned himself with people trying to damage Miss Halston's work. When confronted, he restrained her. Brooke testified that she arranged the dinner because she worried I had become isolated. Leah, she said, was a sincere introduction to someone who valued careful communication. Maya asked, "Did you know Mr. Mercer used ASL?" I knew he had some training. 6 years as a certified interpreter. I am not responsible for how he represented his past. Even a fact about my own work became a failure in how I had presented it. Cynthia called the Harbor Memorial patient next. Her name was Elena Park. She was 25 now, with a thin scar below her left ear, and Noah's green jacket folded across her lap. Brooke had sent it to her after cutting open the sleeve. Elena did not glance toward me. Cynthia asked about the night at the hospital. "You were 12? "Yes." "Mr. Mercer stopped while interpreting for your parents?" "He did." "Did he return to complete the assignment?" "No." The familiar verdict gathered inside me. He froze. He left. He failed. Then Cynthia asked, "How did his conduct affect your family?" Elena unfolded a page. "My father asked me to write this because he cannot travel." She read. Mr. Mercer stopped for several seconds after seeing my father's jacket. Another interpreter continued. Later that night, Mr. Mercer came to my room and apologized directly. He did not ask me to forgive him. My breath caught. I had forgotten the visit. Elena continued. My parents did not file a complaint. My father asked the agency to give him time off. We learned he resigned before they could speak with him. Cynthia stepped closer. But your father was frightened. He was frightened because his daughter might die. Elena set the page down. Mr. Mercer has spent 13 years believing the wrong thing. His 6 seconds were not the hardest part. The hardest part was that he decided our family's opinion without asking us. The words cleared me and accused me at the same time. Maya called Jordan. His attorney authenticated the recordings from his watch and the restaurant's upload records. After a brief argument about consent, the judge allowed the recordings for the limited purpose of testing Brooke's credibility, not as proof of every allegation in the wider foundation dispute. Brooke's voice filled the speakers. The second camera was never supposed to record sound. Cynthia argued the sentence lacked context. Maya played the next section. If he freezes, keep the camera on her face. Brooke gripped the table. The brace bent at her wrist. Jordan testified that Brooke created the folder Table Test Raw, supplied the login, and told him to stop filming after I began signing. The restaurant's network log showed both phones connected to a foundation account. Leah's recording captured her warning Brooke not to reach across her. A wider security angle showed Brooke lunging toward the phone before I stood. The evidence changed the sequence. It did not make me flawless. When Maya called me, my knees felt unreliable beneath the table. Cynthia began with our marriage. Is it true you withdrew during conflict? Yes. Miss Halston repeatedly asked you to communicate? Yes. You sometimes left conversations unresolved? Yes. You expect this court to believe she invented every concern? No. I placed both hands on the witness rail. Brooke was often lonely in our marriage. I treated silence like restraint when it was sometimes avoidance. I made her carry conversations I should have stayed for. My father shifted behind her, but leaving an argument unfinished did not make me violent. Failing one family for 6 seconds did not give Brooke ownership of that memory. Knowing ASL did not make Leah dependent on me. Cynthia returned to the video. You grabbed Miss Halston. Yes. You could have stepped away. Yes. You chose physical contact. I stopped her hand before it struck Leah's. I released her immediately. I wish I had used another method. Brooke whispered to Cynthia, too loudly. He rehearsed that. The judge heard. So did I, Maya said. Truthful testimony still deserves preparation. Cynthia asked whether Leah and I had coordinated against Brooke. No. Yet she recorded the dinner. Do you trust her? The question had nothing to do with protection and everything to do with turning romance into motive. I do not know yet. Brooke's head lifted. Trust is not a reward for choosing the same enemy, I continued. Leah told the truth late. Jordan told it after helping create the trap. I stayed silent until silence became useful to Brooke. None of us arrived here clean. Maya placed the repaired interpreter badge on the evidence table. Apartment footage showed a contractor entering with the fraudulent access email before the badge appeared at Brooke's press event. Maya asked me, "Why do you believe Miss Halston pursued this order?" Brooke answered first. Because he was going to release the copied audio. No one had mentioned copied audio. Only Jordan's watch files and Leah's recording had been discussed. Maya turned toward her. What copied audio? Brooke's face changed. Small. Late. Real. Cynthia touched her arm. Brooke pulled away. The copy from the second phone. The phone police could not unlock? He has it. They all have it. Who is they? The people trying to destroy me. One Foundation board member stood and left. Brooke saw him go. The careful expression disappeared. I gave that organization 12 years. I made those artists visible. I made Evan employable after he collapsed. Every person here benefited from me deciding what story people could understand. There it was. She believed authorship belonged to whoever could produce the cleaner version. The judge denied the protection order. She did not declare me innocent of every failure. She found that the edited clip did not establish an ongoing threat, and that Brooke's testimony about the cameras was not credible. Reporters crowded the courthouse steps. Maya advised me to say nothing. I stood behind the microphones alone. I avoided hard conversations in my marriage, I said. That hurt someone I once loved. It is also true that a hidden camera was used to turn another woman's disability and my worst memory into a test neither of us agreed to take. Questions rose around me. I will not ask you to replace Brooke's perfect villain with a perfect victim. I am neither. My fingers touched the repaired cord beneath my coat. She called my silence evidence. It was only the space she used to speak for me. Then I stepped away before anyone else could write my next sentence. 3 months after the hearing, the internet had moved on. Not everyone else had. Brooke's protection order was denied, but the Foundation investigation continued. 2 board members resigned. The Arts Council froze its partnership funding. Brooke released a statement admitting that incomplete media had created confusion, though she never used the words hidden camera, stage test, or apology. She called it a failure of process. People like Brooke preferred nouns that had no fingerprints. My company reinstated me after an outside review. Nadine returned my laptop in the same gray case security had carried away. We should have asked what happened before asking how it looked, she said. It was not a full apology. It was more than some people offered. The Fairmont contract did not come back. One client requested that I never train its managers again. My father sent a 2-line text saying he was glad the matter had been resolved, as though a court ruling had untangled every year before it. I still checked the hallway before opening my apartment door. Mr. Alvarez replaced every lock and access fob. The first night home, I found the closet stacked with evidence boxes and an empty space where Noah's jacket had been. Elena mailed it back a week later. The cut sleeve had been repaired with dark green thread. Her father had sewn it himself. Inside the pocket was a note. Ask next time. I sat on the floor with the jacket across my knees until the light under the door disappeared. The hospital review found no patient files on my old drive. There were calendar entries, training notes, and a document I had written the morning after Elena's surgery. I am not steady enough to be trusted. 13 years later, it still sounded like a decision disguised as a fact. I deleted it, not because the 6 seconds no longer mattered, because they were no longer the only 6 seconds allowed to define me. On Wednesday evenings, I returned to the community center where I had trained as an interpreter. I did not accept medical assignments or announce a comeback. I helped adult students practice conversations. The first class left me shaking in the parking lot. During the third, a teenager signed too quickly, became frustrated, and dropped his hands. I tapped the table. Again, I signed. Say what you mean. Noah's sentence moved through my hands without breaking them. My old badge remained cracked through the word interpreter. Leah's black cord held it together. I wore it inside my jacket, where no one could see unless I chose to show them. Leah and I did not become a couple after the courthouse. She gave a public statement admitting she had entered the dinner with a recording device and had not warned me. The Arts Council restored part of her grant, but the advocacy group did not withdraw its criticism. Some parents returned to her studio, others did not. For 8 weeks, our communication stayed practical. Evidence transfers. Hearing dates. A message when the restaurant returned her notebook. Jordan and I had coffee once. He apologized without asking whether we were still friends. I did not answer. Some relationships become questions you are no longer required to solve immediately. On the first Friday in November, Leah sent me an address for a diner near the community center. No cameras, no foundation, no evidence. I arrived 12 minutes early and chose a booth where I could see the entrance. A group behind me laughed as I removed my coat. My hands went cold. For a moment, white flowers appeared where the sugar dispenser sat. Brooke's wrist returned beneath my fingers. The courthouse microphones crowded the table. I stood halfway. Then Leah entered carrying a small cardboard box. She saw me beside the booth. She did not ask whether I was all right or touch me. She placed the box on the seat across from mine and waited. I sat again because I chose to. Inside the box was a dark blue ceramic cup with a thin line of gold running through a crack near the handle. "Before you say anything," she signed. "I did not make this as a metaphor. It looked suspiciously like one. The handle broke in the kiln. And the gold?" I refused to throw it away. A waitress approached and looked at both of us. Leah ordered chamomile tea. I ordered black coffee. Neither of us mentioned the restaurant where those choices had once been watched by 7 people waiting for us to fail. "I owe you more than one apology," Leah signed. "You already gave them. Accepted is not erased." "No." I told her I still hated learning she had kept me at the table for evidence. She told me she still hated that I sometimes translated her words before she finished signing, especially when I thought I was helping. We did not turn those injuries into proof that nothing between us could be real. We also did not turn honesty into instant forgiveness. Outside, rain moved across the windows. Leah wrapped both hands around the blue cup. Was that dinner ever a date? The answer would have been easier 3 months earlier, when attraction and gratitude were tangled with fear. Now there were no reporters outside, no hidden phone between us. No one waiting for the wrong reaction. "Ask me again." I signed. Leah waited. "Would you like to have dinner with me next Friday?" Another laugh rose from the booth behind us. My shoulders tightened. Leah kept her eyes on my face. She did not rescue me from the moment. I breathed until the sound became only people laughing. Then I moved the ceramic cup aside, making space between us. Yes, her smile was small and unperformed. We stayed until the waitress refilled my coffee and the rain softened. When I stood to leave, the repaired badge slipped from my pocket and landed on the table. Leah reached toward it, then stopped. I picked it up myself. The plastic was still scratched. The cord was still visible. Nothing about it looked new. I clipped it to my jacket anyway. Some people do not destroy you by shouting. They do it by writing a version of you that everyone else can believe. And sometimes the person who helps you survive is not the one who fixes your life. It is the one who refuses to laugh while you find your own words. If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to fight for the truth of your own life? And if you want more stories about people reclaiming their dignity, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.